OJ Lopez here from Fluid MotorUnion, and today we've got a SEMA-built German sports car with an American engine and a really questionable exhaust system. Before I get started, let me make sure that you guys are subscribed, that you're liking the video, and that you leave a comment if you have any questions below. Let's find out what's going on with this thing. Our friend Alex from Legit Street Cars bought himself a problem. This SEMA-built LS Swap 996 has a handful of issues, but we're focused on this seriously questionable exhaust construction. Besides the issue of sound and craftsmanship, this exhaust runs so close to the starter that it causes it to overheat, leaving poor Alex stranded until it cools off. As luck would have it, he remembered our knack for crafty exhaust solutions and gave us a call. Now, we could have done what he asked and just simply moved things around. But that's not how we roll at FMU. We strive for excellence, creating exhaust systems that have gearheads from around the world with their jaws on the floor. Our setups have worked wonders on LS motors and Porsches before, but this specific combo provided a challenge which was an opportunity we couldn't resist. Knowing Alex never backs down from a wicked-sounding exhaust upgrade, it didn't take much convincing for him to let us set it up how we wanted. You're not going to believe how this thing ended up sounding.
Can we use the word interesting? That's a nice word.
I'd more say travesty, honestly.
Okay, all right, I'll take it.
It's a little rough, but it's a little rough.
Surprisingly though, it drives really nice.
I'll be honest.
I just started like a couple days ago.
I'm not going to leave those headers the way they are. They're going to come down.
What do you want to do with them?
Just not have them wrapped like that.
Oh, okay. You think the wrap's not doing much anyway?
I mean, even if it was, like, just all that dangling and whatever, like, it's just not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really, there's a lot of room to get it at this side. And there's a lot of room to get it at this side. I don't think it's going to be hard to get down, especially once we get this exhaust off. Like, that's the major portion that's in the way of you getting a wrench on there pretty easy. So on this side, we have about a 45-degree tilt. And then this side, we've got a nice 20-something degree tilt. Man. I don't know what to say. Like, it's worse than I looked at underneath there. What was the thought behind this? Like, it had to be just get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they had to be like on this and just be like, oh, just put some pipes here and let's kick it out, you know?
I agree.
There's no thought that really went into it.
What do you think about just ripping it off right now? It's super easy.
Take this thing down.
Let's take it down.
And
O2 sensor plug out. Oh.
Saw that coming.
Nice. I'm about to break the welds off the frame.
Something's getting broken either way.
Hang on by a, there we go. All right. I was hanging on by a weld hair.
Is it actually spinning off? I don't know.
Yeah. Woo. Sometimes you gotta get violent.
Okay, it's off. This is a pretty standard 3-bolt flange, 2.5 inch. However, it is not stainless steel, it's magnetic. We're gonna check to see if we can match something up to this. If not, you can weld stainless steel to mild steel. It's not an ideal situation, and if we're trying to do this thing the best we can, we're gonna have to figure that out. Ordering that and getting this done on time, that could be a hang up, but we'll make it work. So the plan for this thing is make it sound better, but also have it be something that looks great. Really, there's a lot of room underneath here. Pan lends itself to being able to do what we need to do. The only thing we're going to have to watch out for is apparently Alex is putting air conditioning on this thing, so we're going to need to watch out for that guy. So once we find these flanges, the idea is we're going to need a true crossover to blend both these banks. Blending both banks, you know, people talk about scavenging. Every application is specific to what's inside of the vehicle. So until you've kind of tested scavenging on that application in the confines of the car, you really don't know how much scavenging you're going to get for any given length of pipe. There's calculations and formulas you can run, but that being said, ideally we just want the best possible sound. Doing one of our smooth merge X's underneath here, and then probably going to a resonated section and then swooping back for a straight shot out for the exhaust tips is the plan, while keeping this thing away from the starter. So, doesn't look crazy challenging, but at the same time, people are gonna be looking underneath here. It's the rear end of the car, and it's gotta look good, so we can't just slap some pipes up in there.
We got open headers right now. only one thing left to do.
You're gonna remember the sound with open headers and then compare it to the car. Having open headers is a good cross comparison. Kind of hangs open there. Do you notice that?
It needs a tune. Yeah, it was
I think that's
street
what's going on.
tuned.
Yeah.
So, you know,
A little rough.
it happens.
Check this out. This flange, right? His issue that he was having was this was coming out next to the starter, and it was heating the out of it and causing it not to start. So that's the big hang up. What I'm thinking is we've got this room underneath here, especially if we go 2.5. Can we get this down under here, X right here?
What kind of gap do you want to have on the oil pan?
I mean, I think
A 1 inch? 1 inch would be good. Do you want to see it from the back of the car or no?
I think it'd be cool if you did. The car's pretty low, so I don't want it like hanging down like a moose knuckle or anything, but
So this is what I'm thinking, right? Cut the flanges off here. We'll bring them out this way. We'll X them in here. From the back side, we'll turn the resonators out this way, and that way we can just turn them straight out.
I'm good with that.
So that way, rather than coming straight down into the X, we're going to turn it away from the starter.
Here's the issue.
Yeah.
He's got an AC bracket that he wants to put in here. So that goes into this area.
Yeah.
So we can't really eat into that.
Well, how big is that? Can we get that?
He's got it. Problem being is that to know really where it's going to fit, this has to be cut. Like he needs like another 2 inches off of that, which he said he could do. I could at least put the bracket up so you could see roughly like how far forward you're going to go, you know?
I mean, I'm not turning it down. It's going to come down a good 7 to 8 inches before it turns.
So this is the bottom bolt for it, and it's higher than this.
All right, hold on. Let me grab some. Honey, are you already with my tips?
I'm always playing with the tip.
So this all mounts up into here.
So does anything go back here?
No.
So we need to bring this, turn this out, bring it as far away as we can. No, it'll come down into this one.
Could you kick this further into the notch and then go to the front one like you wanted to originally?
It'll have to go down and around into it. So no, let's not do that. I don't think we can get this tight enough here
Okay.
to do that. I think that we need to,
Go into that guy
yeah. Then I'll just turn this one back and turn it back out.
and then kick it straight back out.
Yeah.
I don't want to say easy enough, but straightforward enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's straightforward. Yeah, it's just a matter of actually doing it. And you know how this is. It looks easy, but it's not.
And then
Because
we
we're going to
got-
fight the radiuses.
and then we got to figure out mounts too. I don't think it's going to need much for weight, but so you're going to have to plate it and have a mount in between somewhere. I was thinking maybe use these bolts or what I see back here.
I guess we'll have to see where it rotates around.
You also could hang
Because we
it
can put
from
rib-
the engine too.
And we can put riv nuts into the chassis to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just going to be a matter of we might have to cut some of this back or whatever to get it in there.
I don't think any of that is doing anything. So
Here's the thing about 3-inch on a LS motor. I mean, this thing's going to be loud. Even with the vibrance in it, it's going to be loud. So who wants to stay late with me on Thursday?
once again, our biggest hurdle getting this done is just going to be the time frame. That's usually what it comes down to when we're working with Alex. He's got his videos to shoot. In order for him to keep his deadline, we got to be accommodating. This thing,
We gotta be climaxing, bro.
this thing is going to be nice when we're done. The problem is there's so much junk on here and things that I really don't want people to see when they look at our exhaust. Obviously, we didn't do the swap, but I can't leave it this way. I'm gonna have to ask Mike here, who is our guy who cleans stuff up. If I gave you like 3 or 4 hours with this thing, do you think you could fix some of this garbage? I mean, it doesn't have to be fancy or nice, but this is embarrassing.
Could make that look better.
This is pretty bad. That being said, Mike's kind of my guy when I want something to look really nice. He kind of knows how to get it done. I don't need you to work any miracles here, but I think if you spend a little time on it, this wouldn't be so embarrassing.
Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of me trying to make OJ Lopez mad.
So this
I
thing,
do this every day.
This thing looks a lot cleaner. Why don't we go over what you did on it?
All right, basically removed a lot of wiring that was no longer needed. Tucked some wiring up between the firewall and the engine. Got rid of a lot of the bad looking tie straps, like holding the shock line on here. Routed most of the cables all together. Tucked them behind the engine so you don't really see them. Found that they left the original engine wiring harness tucked up behind this heat shield, so I was able to remove that too. Relocated the ground strap, and overall, just make it look cleaner.
I think it'll be a nice compliment for the exhaust. Like I said, my big fear was we get a nice exhaust looking on there, and Alex takes this thing somewhere, or the next owner, and they see that, and somehow we're associated with this hodgepodge of a build. I mean, that's kind of what happens regardless, but the areas that we touched are better for it, and that's kind of the idea here at Fluid. If it comes here, it's better because we worked on it, and when I need something done like that, Mike's my guy to do that. Good job, dude.
Thanks, OJ. Yeah. Where are all these wires?
So here we have it, the finished product, and I just want to take a second to go over some of our choices for the construction of this exhaust. Now, a big one's going to be wide 2.5 inch. Now, when it comes to exhaust, I keep harping on this, but the biggest issue you're going to have is the constraints within the car. The best exhaust is going to be a completely straight exhaust that has a merge for however many cylinders you have, that has a merge, and then shortly after that, there's a predetermined distance that you'd figure out depending on the displacement of the engine, the RPM, and whatnot, but it wouldn't be curved. So basically, anytime you're dealing with an exhaust to get the best flow, we kind of go by a rule of thumb, which is for every horsepower, every 100 horsepower, you want about an inch of diameter. This thing, it's a 350 LS out of the Corvette. So the thing made 350 horsepower, and supposedly it's got a cam in there, headers. Let's just say it's close to 500. Well, in order to be optimal, we'd need 5 inches of diameter. We have 2 banks. We're merging those 2 banks together. So that gives us, split that in half, about 2.5. From that 2.5, we know that going bigger isn't necessarily going to produce any more power, but going smaller might be a choke point. So that's kind of the rule we follow, and then the idea behind it. A lot of people, they put a lot of thought into H-pipes, into scavenging, into pipe diameter, into back pressure, and all these other buzzwords, but when in reality, where you have to fit this thing is going to be the biggest constraint of how much power and what you can do with the sound. Now, when it comes to the note of the engine, there's really not much we can do. You guys already heard it, open headers. That note, we can't really change. That's where it's coming out. You could think of it like a musical instrument, right? If you take a tuba or you take a flute, you could put the same air in both of those, but you produce a different tone depending on where it's at, depending on the length, the size. All those things come into factor, and we use a little bit of that thought when we're designing these. So if you want a higher pitch exhaust, you want to try to keep it short. A lower pitch exhaust, we up the diameter slowly, and we try to probably go a little lengthier, but that depends on the engine we're doing. So this, we've got it in the back of the car. We've got 2.5 on here as a means to try to keep the thing from droning, but still give it a bark, still give it a bite. Basically, it's more or less a free-flowing exhaust design. So we dump out here into our X. For a lot of this is kind of our secret sauce, is how we blend the X pipe together. Now, if you look here, this guy follows straight in, and this guy follows straight in. There's no harshness. You have a straight shot across in each X. Now, in theory, as the pulses come out, they should be alternating against each other, depending on the engine's firing order, bank to bank, bank to bank. That's not always the case. Some banks fire 2 at a time, right next to each other. A well-designed X should, if anything, and that's where you would get into scavenging, but a well-constructed X pipe will blend both of those banks and take 2 4-cylinders you have eventually and turn them into cleaner sounding, because you're passing those over each other. So the X, the way we do the X is super important. The straight section here is calculated. We know about how much to have here, the straight shot, to not make it sound harsh, to not make it sound raspy. One of our favorite products to use are the Vibrant ultra quiet resonators. They're straight through design. There's no chambers. Chambered mufflers, I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what you've heard or what you've seen at your local car meets, will never sound as clean as a straight through resonated muffler. So we just don't ever use chambered mufflers because we have a certain sound we're going after. The straight section allows us to not only usually get that, but keep the pitch and the octave that we're looking for. And then it simply comes out to 2 tips. As you can see, dual wall here. We just did it for styling. It looks cool. The bigger tips also give it a little bit more
of an aggressive look, especially at that angle coming out. And then the mufflers, the way that we set them, gives you something to look at when you're behind the car. Now, because the Porsche has the rear mounted engine and we're not having to drape the exhaust the length of the car, we don't really need to support it with traditional hangers that are body mounted. We can actually get away mounting this thing to the engine. As long as we don't have the movement of the engine mounts tapping the bumper or potentially melting some of the bumper, which we don't, it can be hard mounted. So we're not even gonna use any rubber isolators or anything like that. They can be mounted. Billy came up with this nice looking little triangle design here that's gonna bolt right to the engine. And basically, this thing is complete. The next step here is we're gonna slap this thing on and see how it sounds. We've got a few little things to touch up, but we're gonna be hearing this thing shortly. Fire in the hall.
Beautiful. That is so nice. Dude, this sounds like a professional car and not like just a lop-off job, you know?
Let's get it warmed up and then we'll hear what it really does.
All right. Oh, this is the best. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Jesus. That is insane. Dude, this thing is shooting flames, man.
Yeah, we're pretty good at that, so.
That sounds great. Awesome job, dude. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap. And I would say I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. Not only were we able to take care of the starter being too hot from the exhaust, but we were able to make a great looking piece that keeps a lot of the LS sound that they're known for. On top of all that, it shoots fire. So let's close this thing down. Make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for any updates. Drop a comment below if you liked what you saw, and I'll see you guys next time.